Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings, 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluo?
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 What is Baluo?
Baluo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, or Mali. Baluo, better than sending money.
All protocols duly observed, and good morning to all of you. Alhamdulillah, today we are here gathered to launch the 2019-2020 Gambia Demographic and Health Survey Report. And it is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you. The DHS was first conducted in the Gambia in 2013, and the report was launched in 2014. The plan was to conduct the second DHS in 2018 to maintain the 5-year gap, but due to the slow response in terms of resource mobilization, this was difficult. Like the first Demographic and Health Survey, the Gambia Demographic and Health Survey 2 was a national sample survey designed to provide information on population, family planning, maternal and child health, child survival, HIV and AIDS, and sexually transmitted infections, reproductive health, and nutrition in the Gambia. It involved interviewing a randomly selected group of male respondents aged 15 to 59 and female respondents aged 15 to 49. Before I move further, I wish to recognize the crucial role played by Her Excellency Madam Vice President when she was the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, who are both with us today to launch this report. They assured of their commitment to ensure that funds are available to conduct the survey, and today we are here launching it. I vividly recall the tone at which both of you spoke at the first resource mobilization meeting held at the conference room of the Ministry of Health, which you co-chair. Similarly, the efforts of the current Minister of Health is well recognized. He was too instrumental to see that the survey was conducted in the most appropriate way. The Director of Research at the Ministry was assigned to coordinate the participation of the Ministry of Health. and this immensely contributed to the success of the project. I must also acknowledge the hard work of my colleagues at the Gambia Bureau of Statistics. More than 100 field workers spent many weeks in training and field work, and then proceeded to travel all around the country, interviewing and collecting biomarker samples for over 15,000 men and women for more than 4 months. The survey was also supported by quality control teams, data processors, supervisors, and report reviewers. I am incredibly proud of their tireless work ethics, their dedication to data quality, and the personal sacrifice they made to carry out this demanding survey. We at the Gambia Bureau of Statistics and our partners, Ministry of Health and the National Nutrition Agency, are proud to be the implementer of the GDHS tool and to be part of the worldwide DHS program. We have greatly benefited from our relationship with our colleagues at the ICF, who have provided technical support through every stage of the survey, and to our donors and other stakeholders who have supported this project, both financially and with their technical expertise. I would also like to thank the Ministry of Health for their faithful guidance and cooperation. Madam Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we celebrate both the successful culmination of a 2-year-long project and the encouraging news the survey results illuminate. Many aspects of health are improving in the Gambia. As of 2019-20 survey, only 18% of children are stunted, which is a sign of chronic malnutrition. This is a reduction from 25% in 2013. Women's health has also improved. More women are using family planning and accessing health care during pregnancy and delivery. Of course, there are also areas in which we are disappointed to see little change. Childhood mortality, for example, has not declined since 2013. And while ownership of ITNs, that is insecticide-treated nets, has increased, use of ITNs among children and pregnant women has not. It is my hope that the results of this survey spur us to double our efforts in these areas and to continue the progress realized in recent years. I wish to extend my thanks to all of our partners, our presenters today, who will share the survey results with us, and all to our special guests who will share their insights about how we can use information to improve the lives of people living in the Gambia. In closing, let me again acknowledge my colleagues at GBOS and thank our many partners and donor agencies for supporting the huge task. The Ministry of Health, USAID West Africa, UNFPA, UNDP, UNICEF, the World Health Organization, Action Aid International, the Gambia, the Network Against Gender-Based Violence, the National Nutrition Agency, and the government of the Gambia. We would not have done this without your assistance and generous cooperation. We look forward to more collaboration in the future, and please expect to receive us anytime soon as we are finalizing the 2023 Population and Housing Census project document. As we all know, it is a more resource-intensive project in terms of finance, human, and material requirements. For all of you here today, I wish to extend our sincere appreciation for spending your invaluable time with us. Your attendance means a lot to us, and we appreciate each and everyone's presence. I wouldn't be fair if I failed to single out the great leadership role played by the UNFPA in mobilizing resources within the UN system and providing technical support in all aspects. Similarly, we wish to acknowledge the great support provided by the UNDP. Madam Vice President, distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your kind attention. I now have the pleasure and honor to invite the U.S. Ambassador to the Gambia to deliver his remarks. We understand that the USAID Deputy Chief in Dakar is with us and is supposed to also deliver a short remarks.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellency, Vice President Touré, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Minister of Health, other members of government, colleagues in the UN agencies that are represented here, it is my privilege to be here today at this important event. However, I am delighted to have with us the Director of the Sahel Regional Office, and that while it is based in Senegal, they are focused outside of Senegal. They are in fact focused on the Gambia as well as a handful of other countries in West Africa. And given his far superior expertise and knowledge in these matters, I would ask if, with your permission, Madam Vice President, I would ask to invite Dr. Zarek Smith to deliver the remarks on behalf of the United States government and also take my seat at the head table. Dr. Zarek Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Your Excellencies, Madam the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, representatives of the honorable ministries and ministers of state, distinguished guests from ECOWAS, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, media representatives, all protocols observed. It is really a pleasure to be here today to launch the report of the 2019-2020 Gambia Demographic Health Survey. On behalf of the United States government, first I want to acknowledge the many technical and financial contributions from our esteemed counterparts in the government of the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, and the Ministry of Health, as well as our partners at UNFPA, UNICEF, UNDP, the World Health Organization, ActionAid International, the Network for Gender-Based Violence, and the National Nutrition Agency. The U.S. government, through USAID, has a long-standing partnership with the government of the Gambia in various areas of health. Our collaboration on the demographic health survey is critical because it tracks progress that's being made to improve health outcomes in the Gambia. We're proud to have contributed a total of $400,000 US towards the conduct of the 2019-2020 DHS. Our previous support to the conduct of the 2013 DHS is a further sign of our commitment to the Gambia. The DHS results have demonstrated that there has been progress made, and it also shows that there are significant challenges that lie ahead in order to improve the health of all Gambians. On the positive side, the area of maternal care, with 84% of births attended by skilled providers, represent a significant increase from only 57% during the 2013 measurement. And remarkably, modern contraceptive prevalence rates have doubled from 8% in 2013 to 17% in the 2020 DHS. Despite this progress, we have not seen the same kind of improvement in infant and under 5 mortality rates. Both of these have increased slightly since the 2013 DHS. And these sorts of results show that despite some progress, we need additional investment in order to reduce morbidity and mortality in the Gambia. In closing, I want to offer my sincerest thanks on behalf of the U.S. government and on behalf of USAID to all of those who have organized and the organizations who've worked so hard to make this survey happen. The Bureau of Statistics managed every step of this survey, from initial planning, training, data collection, and data entry, and as well as writing of the final report. Their work has been exemplary. Thanks also to the government of the Gambia, our development partners, and to the survey teams and interviewers, and especially the over 16,000 men and women who responded to the survey. Without their willingness to participate, we would not be here today, equipped with information that is going to enable us to make critical decisions to improve the health status of the people of the Gambia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zarek Smith, the Deputy Mission Director, Dakar office, USAID Dakar office. For those of us who are familiar with the DHS program or conducting the DHS surveys, the DHS program was established by the United States Agency for International Cooperation, USAID, in 1984. It was designed as a follow-up to the World Fertility Survey and the Contraceptive Prevalence Survey projects. The program has helped developing countries collect, analyze, and disseminate accurate and representative data on population health, HIV, and nutrition through more than 400 surveys in over 90 countries. The USA supported the first DHS that was conducted in this country in 2013 and covered the cost of the participation, the entire cost of the participation of the ICF team in that survey. This year, as mentioned by Dr. Zarek, we also received a $400,000 US support. We appreciate this a lot. We look forward to more cooperation with the USAID office, and we hope next time around you'll be in the position to entirely cover the cost of ICF participation. We look forward to that. Thank you very much, Doctor. As I promised, we are not interested in keeping you too long here. I now have the pleasure and honor to invite the UNFPA country representative to deliver his speech. Mr. Kule, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, SG, for ending with the advocacy to USAID so that the UNFPA would not have to fund ICF technical assistance to the Gambia like we did this time. And the USAID, it's all done from Washington, and then we know it's the support of the American people. But thank you so much for that wonderful speech. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Gambia, Dr. Fatou Toure, who I said, incidentally, was the co-chair of the steering committee for this survey we're launching as Minister of Health at inception. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, the Minister of Health, the two co-chairs of the steering committee for the survey. Distinguished and honorable ministers here present, we really welcome you and thank you for joining us here. The Ambassador of the United States of America to the Gambia, and now Dr. Zarek, the head of the USAID Office to the Sahel. Members of the diplomatic and consular corps, colleagues, heads of UN agencies, the Statistician General, senior civil servants. I see many permanent secretaries here as well. I welcome you. Members of the development community, staff of GBOS, press, women and men, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you once again. It is indeed a very surreal moment for us at UNFPA, and for me also in particular, to indeed be at the launch of the GDHS 2019-2020. And as I speak, some of my colleagues are smiling because they know how it was at the beginning. And as the SG said, It didn't look like it was going to happen, but I appreciate the tenacity of the people of the Gambia and the desire to get things done. That is what has brought us to this occasion today. In partnership with the government of the Gambia, the United Nations system in the Gambia has been supporting the country for its health and demographic indicators. But oftentimes we work and it appears like we are shooting into the dark, because without adequate, critical, and timely data, we cannot address the situation, and we do not know what we are actually trying to address. And this is why surveys are very important, to bring realistic, timely, up-to-date, and relevant data to inform planning, policies, and then implementation of our strategies. We're very proud to have supported the Gambia in this process. And the DHS, I would try as much as possible to avoid what previous speakers before me have said, has helped us, would help us as development partners with the government of the Gambia to, even as we move forward to working on plans, the NDP that the government is planning to revive, our own cooperation framework with the government of the Gambia, and our individual country programs in health and demography will be informed by the results of this survey. While I do not want to go into a deep dive of the survey, you would hear that demographic and health surveys are probably the most important and the most valid results that tackle health and demographic indicators across the world. The USAID director had mentioned it, G-Boss said it. It covers a plethora of indicators that measure outcomes nationally. It is very nationally representative data that has a quite large sample size. For the Gambia, very important indicators have been measured, and we have seen that we have indeed made progress. Overall maternal mortality in the Gambia is indeed on the decline. This has been that even from the first survey, but now we have more decline in that area. Fertility rates in the Gambia is on the decline. More children ever than before are getting immunized and are, having immunization. And the information on nutrition is extremely promising. And I know as we sit here, all of us need this information, and it speaks to our different areas of work. And if you see the partnership that delivered this DHS, as you will see on every banner, it indeed shows that it is extremely representative and includes valid data in different areas, including, like the SG said, HIV, family planning, nutrition, education, and women empowerment. We believe that the information is relevant and that it will help us as we continue to plan and work to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in the Gambia. The UN will continue to support to ensure that the trend of decline is sustained, but also that is only one side of the coin. Domestic violence and gender-based violence is on the increase and even maybe at an all-time high in the Gambia. Neonatal and infant mortality rates should concern us, and we should ask more questions and do more investigation in that regard. And this is why we must therefore accelerate our collective efforts to address these issues. The document is large, it is big, but it's also been condensed in very easy to read charts. And I believe that we cannot, if we began to discuss everything that is in that document now, we will not leave here today. But just to say that the document will be valuable data for development, like I said, of the National Development Plan, policies and plans, and our own programs as we seek to continue to support the Gambia. For us at UNFPA, we're already working with our regional office and the Ministry of Finance on investment cases. What do we need to do? How do we translate these results into valid programs to make sure that we end all preventable maternal deaths in the Gambia. We met the unmet need for family planning, and indeed, very importantly, we end every form of gender-based violence against our women and girls, including female genital mutilation and child marriage. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I think what the other thing that is left for me is to again express my sincere gratitude for the partnership that delivered these documents. As I said earlier, it's very surreal. I want to thank the government of the Gambia and the government of President Adama Barrow for even giving us a listening ear at the beginning and listening to GBOS and ourselves as we walked around ministries and corridors seeking advocacy and for funding for this program. When the survey was conceived, there was no funds from any partner, but with the shared desire, we were able to come out with enough funds to deliver the survey and the results we have today. And for that reason, I must specifically thank the partnership led by the government of the Gambia. I thank USAID for coming to our support again in this process. I must exceptionally thank my UN agencies and colleagues who collectively were able to mobilize over $1.5 million for this process amongst the UN agencies. Please give the UN agencies a round of applause. Yeah. I thank UNDP, I thank UNICEF, I thank WHO, who, along with financial contributions, also provided valid technical support to the process. I find the NGOs in the Gambia very, very commendable and exemplary, even in their contributions to surveys. And for that, I must thank the Network Against Gender-Based Violence. I thank ActionAid. And I also even thank the National Nutrition Agency, NANA, who are a government agency. And without this valuable contribution, we would probably not be here today. Even though I thank him every time and I do harass him, it's important to thank the Statistician General and the team at GBOS. They're wonderful people. SG, thank you so much. You never get frustrated. You never show you listen as we ram and push and norm. We thank you and the wonderful team, exemplary team at the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, very professional colleagues. We really thank you. Even as we are here today, we're still discussing data. I will not call the names of, even this morning, we're still having chats and back and forth on that. And it just shows the commitment of that team. I thank the ICF team, our technical partners, who are supported from the DHS program funded by USAID again. Unfortunately, they are not here with us physically today, but I believe they are watching us from DC or around the world. I don't want to begin to call names, but very fantastic people who have supported this process. And they have again proven that the ICF and the DHS program is a wonderful supporter of development programs across the world. While I had thanked the government, I think it's important to thank Her Excellency the Vice President, who, when we started the steering committee, she specifically asked us and wrote letters to everybody we wanted her to write letters to have information and brought the consultation. So thank you, Madam Vice President. God bless you. The Honorable Minister of Finance, who made commitments with the Minister of Health at that time and have fulfilled the commitments to a very reasonable extent. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister of Finance, and for the support. The Health Minister, I thank you so much for always being accommodative and mobilizing a very invaluable technical team to support this process. I thank you again, and I think it's important to continue to say this. And most importantly, I would thank the people of the Gambia. I said over 16,000 listened to us and agreed to be surveyed. And sometimes we are a little worried that aren't we asking people too many questions, but the people of the Gambia are always willing to provide necessary information to support the process. The speaker before me thanked the enumerators, the field staff. We really, really thank you all for this process. I'll conclude by saying it goes without saying, that promoting women's health remains the key entry point to promoting the health of a nation. This data we have from the GDHS shows that even though there are improvements in some areas, there is still a lot of work to be done. I think it's important to remind us that data captured by this report, it represents the experiences and realities of our own people. And beyond just statistics, the indicators inform us that women who may not be able to exercise their right to choices on children and their empowerment continue to require us to act for them. The sociocultural dynamics and issues around gender-based violence and abuse has long become archaic, and we should work together to end gender-based violence in the Gambia. The little girls and boys who were born as infants, who might not be guaranteed a life beyond their first birthday or even sometimes their first month in neonatal cases, require and do have a right to live and survive. And it behoves on all of us to do whatever we can do to ensure that they live well to their 5th birthday and beyond. And every pregnant woman who cannot wait to hold her newborn in her hand and endure the constant fear of losing her life during delivery should indeed have the confidence to access our health facilities and survive beyond that. It is therefore imperative on us to refocus our efforts towards addressing their plight and ensuring that everyone everywhere, particularly those furthest behind in our communities, as the data shows again, the more remote the areas of the Gambia, the more negative the indicators seem to be, are assured quality of life. And that we've allowed this document to become our planning tool, and we can plan good programs and policies and cater for the needs of our people. That then will be when we have really succeeded. Only then will be all the efforts that we have come together to put will be of reality, and only then would we say we have made a success of our development effort. I thank you very much for listening to me, and I assure you of our continued support for the Gambia.
Mr. Kule, the UNFPA representative, I think you have said everything. I think without getting somebody to come to the podium, the information you've provided is enough for consumption today. Next time, you'll be the last to come to the podium. Okay, thank you very much, UNFPA. UNFPA has been our traditional partners in the conduct of both the DHS, the population and housing censuses, and other health-related surveys. And we definitely appreciate their support. Their support has contributed a lot in any achievement that we have today. Or anything, if we have anything to celebrate today, the credit goes to the UNFPA and the government of the Gambia and USAID with other UN agencies, of course. Mr. Kule, as rightly mentioned, has moved with me to various institutions, including the U.S. Embassy, where the VP led us to. I wouldn't want to talk a lot about the VP until when she comes, but she really supported this process. Without taking much of your time, I now invite the Honorable Minister of Health to deliver his statement.
Thank you very much, DG. Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Madam Aissatou Toure, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Mambu Njai, and colleague Honorable Ministers here present, His Excellency, the United States Ambassador to the Gambia, and other ambassadors here present, the UNFPA country representative to the Gambia, and other representatives of the UN agencies here present, colleague honorable ministers here present, permanent secretaries, the Director General of GBOS and other Director Generals here present, senior government officials, distinguished participants in the survey, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, men of the media and women of the media, we are delighted once again to stand in front of you to discuss this very important document. The Gambia Demographic Health Survey 2019-2020 is a milestone, quoting data that is 8 years old as representative of what is happening in a country has been a big challenge for us. Quoting information from the GDHS 2013, when we talk about current events, has been a big challenge because it is not indicative of what our current realities are. Therefore, having something that is as current as this is a milestone for the Gambia for us to gauge the progress that has been made so far, and for us to strategize the way forward. So we are therefore very grateful that all the partners contributed their quota, immense contributions to the success of this document. Quite a number of what we've been doing had been based on anecdotal evidence, but certainly for modern medical practice, it is evidence-based. Without having evidence-based interventions, our interventions are done blindly. So therefore, we need the evidence to be able to tell us what it is now, what it had been in the past, and to be able to guide us into the future. We are equally delighted that we've seen remarkable improvements in maternal health. We've seen that 8 in 10 women undergo skilled delivery, which is a big plus. Most of the women in this country now deliver in health facilities, which is a big plus. Now, we had seen the transformation of the traditional birth attendants into what we call birth companions. Now, they accompany these pregnant women to the health facilities to deliver and undergo skilled delivery, which is a big plus. We have also seen that the use of the insecticide-impregnated bed nets is increased, stands at 75%, as we are told in the survey, which is also a big plus. And that directly translates to the reduction in the number of cases of malaria in this country. Infant immunization, 85%, we are told, is one of the highest in the sub-region, we know, and that is a big plus for this country. A very important point that has been measured, and I'm sure the statisticians are going to elaborate further into that, is the reduction in maternal mortality from the 2013 figure. This is contrary to the widely circulated notion that maternal mortality is increasing in this country. But today we stand here and you will get to see that maternal mortality has actually been going down in this country. That is a big plus for the people of this country. However, it needs to go down further because we all believe that women should not die because of pregnancy and pregnancy-related complications. But it is a starting point. We had seen the trend, and that tells us that our interventions are in the right direction. So we need to step up those interventions to ensure that the trend continues so that we have zero maternal mortality in this country. Now, there is a lot that is being done. Unfortunately, we still have neonatal and under 5 mortality, as the report says, still not going down. And therefore, we need to step up our game in bringing it down. But we have already known some of the challenges why those are not down still. And I'm sure the statisticians are going to elaborate further on those. But I think it is also a pointer. Now, when we go to the Minister of Finance and the partners, and we say we need more neonatal units in the country, I think they will believe us because the evidence is there. When we say we need more incubators in all the health facilities, I think they will listen to us because the evidence is there. When we say we country needs more neonatologists to be trained, I think they will believe us because the evidence is there. It is obvious why we have some of these challenges, because as a country, we actually do not have any Gambian neonatologists. We have only 2 or so technical assistants who are here. When we talk about neonatal nurses, it's a similar thing. These are specialized areas where we need to build capacity. So capacity building is a very important component in trying to bring down these indicators. So we need to build capacity. Now, fortunately, the government has thought of ways of doing that. As we speak to you, with the help of the World Bank, the Gambia government is training 40 anesthetic nurses to BSc level at the University of the Gambia, and we are equally training 40 midwives at the University of the Gambia to help bridge that gap. And that has been a very good step in the right direction. And I'm equally happy to mention that the UNFPA is supporting us to train 100 more state-enrolled nurses at the SEN school in Bansang, and equally 100 CHN nurses at the CHN school in Mansakonko. We are working very closely with the UNFPA for that. Because we know if a woman undergoes a prolonged labor, if the mother survives, the child may not survive, because the child comes out asphyxiated. And then you rush the child, you put in an ambulance from Basse all the way to run to come to Banjul, 5 hours, and we can all expect the outcome of such a delivery. So that means Basse itself needs a neonatal unit. Bansan needs a neonatal unit. So we know where the challenges are, and I think with this information we can intervene adequately. But the government is not relenting in its efforts. We are building more health facilities as we speak. Construction work has started in some, and they are making assessments for others. More health facilities are being renovated. We are putting up theaters so that women can have access to emergency cesarean section in more and more of the facilities. You will see the launching of those in the next few months. But I think a very important aspect is the delay in the presentation of these women to the health facilities. When the roads are not good, of course the roads are improving, but it will take time before all the roads get good. Then the delays are there. When they do not have means of transport, then the delays are there. For this reason, under the leadership of His Excellency, we got the instructions to procure 70 community ambulances for the people of this country, and these ambulances will pick pregnant women from their homes to the health facilities to facilitate delivery. In the next few months, we'll be launching these ambulances. Therefore, a lot is being done. So some of the anecdotal evidences had been worked on, but I think now today we have scientific evidence that we're going to continue to work on that will guide our practice. We are quite confident, inshallah, the next DHS in the Gambia hopefully will be on time. In 5 years' time, we would have seen a remarkable reduction in maternal and neonatal and under 5 mortality in this country, and we would have seen much more improvement in the other positive indicators, that is reduction in stunting, uptake of family planning, usage of insecticide-impregnated bed nets, immunization rates, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we extend our appreciation to all the partners, the USAID West Africa, the UNFPA, UNICEF, UNDP, WHO, GBOS, the Gender-Based Violence Center, the Women's Ministry, Action Aid Gambia, the Ministry of Finance, all the partners, and our own team from the Ministry of Health, our Research Directorate, We thank you all for making this possible. But I think it is also a good beginning for us all to invest in research, because without that, really, we'll be working blindly. I think it is a good starting point for GBOS to work with other agencies, whether it is health, and health, we are open to that, and I think we need to work very hard in making sure that when we talk about malaria, it's evidence-based. When we talk about breast cancer, it is evidence-based. When we talk about whatever we talk about is evidence-based. But equally, agriculture and all other sectors need to collaborate a lot more with GBOS so that we have evidence-based interventions in this country. Once again, I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
I think you have provided us with the answer. When we showed the results on neonatal mortality and the like, we were worried. We said, hope the Ministry of Health will not challenge our data. But now we know where the problem is. Because for us, we thought there is increase in the number of health facilities, there is more access to health facilities, and we thought we have more trained people. So why is the trend still stagnant? But now I think we all had it together, and that is...
the Gambia Demographic and Health Survey 2019.
That's the main purpose why we produce statistics. Statistics, like my former chairman would say, is like a mirror. If you want, the mirror shows you exactly how you are. If you want to change anything on it, you go back and adjust. You come back, you see yourself differently. Otherwise, anytime you come before the mirror, you see yourself the same. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Health. Without taking much of your time, we now invite the Gambia Bureau of Statistics representative to play us the video. Thank you.
Demographic and Health Surveys, GDHS, are nationally representative household surveys that provide data in the areas of population and health. It is considered the most comprehensive source of data on maternal health, family planning, and many other health indicators. Data provided by the DHS helps formulate and improve policies and programs in healthcare and social interventions by governments and stakeholders. In the Gambia, the Demographic and Health Survey, GDHS.
It's okay? Okay, then go ahead.
Provides insights on maternal and child health, HIV and AIDS, family planning, female genital mutilation, domestic violence, and women empowerment, amongst others. The 2019 through 2020 GDHS is the second of its kind in the country. The first survey was conducted in 2013. The 2019 through 2020 GDHS provides estimates at the national level in each of the 8 local government areas in the Gambia and shows that the country has made progress in the demographic and health indicators. A total of 16,501 people in 6,549 households across the Gambia were interviewed for the survey. This represents a rate of 97% for households, 95% for women, and 87% for men. The survey shows that fertility in the Gambia has decreased from 5.6 children per woman in 2013 to 4.4 children per woman in 2019 through 2020. Nearly 1 in 5 married women ages 15 through 49 use a method of family planning. 17% use a modern method and 2% use a traditional method. More women are using modern methods of family planning, but traditional method use has changed little since 2013. 24% of married women have an unmet need for family planning. That unmet need has not changed in the Gambia since the 2013 DHS. In the Gambia, the maternity mortality ratio in the 7 years preceding the survey is estimated at 289 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births, a 33% reduction from the 2013 DHS figures of 433 deaths per 100,000 live births. 98% of women in the Gambia receive antenatal care from a skilled provider, an increase from 86% in 2013. Nearly 8 in 10 women made 4 or more antenatal care visits during pregnancy, which is unchanged since 2013. Nationwide, more than 8 out of 10 births are happening in a health facility. Health facility deliveries have increased since 2013, when only 63% of births were taking place in a health facility. However, 15% of births are still taking place at home, putting mothers and newborns at risk. In the Gambia, 73% of women ages 15 through 49 have been circumcised, a 3% reduction from 2013 prevalence. Nearly 2/3 of circumcised women reported that they were circumcised when they were younger than age 5. The report reveals that according to mothers, 46% of girls aged 0 through 14 are circumcised. The 2019 through 2020 Gambia DHS reveals that nearly 4 in 10 ever married women ages 15 through 49 have experienced spousal violence, whether physical, sexual, or emotional. Ever married women's experience of spousal violence has increased from 26% in 2013 to 39% in 2019 through 2020. The percentage of women who have experienced spousal violence in the past 12 months increased from 12% to 17% over the same period. The 2019-2020 GDHS also measured childhood mortality. In the Gambia, neonatal, infant, and under 5 mortality levels have increased since 2013. Neonatal mortality has increased from 22 deaths per 1,000 births to 29 deaths in 2019 through 2020. While infant mortality has increased from 34 to 42 deaths during the same period, under 5 mortality has increased slightly from 54 to 56 deaths. This means that 1 in 18 children dies before their 5th birthday. 85% of children ages 12 through 23 months have received all basic vaccinations. Less than 1% of children did not receive any vaccinations. Basic vaccination coverage has increased from 76% in 2013 to the current level. Childhood stunting has decreased in the Gambia from 25% in 2013 to 18% in 2019 through 2020. During the same time period, the proportion of children underweight has declined from 16% to 12%. Childhood wasting, an indication of acute malnutrition, has decreased considerably from 12% to 5% over that same period. The 2019 to 2020 Gambia Demographic and Health Survey provides a wealth of information about the population and health situation in the Gambia. The information provided by the survey will help guide policy and program development to strengthen the country on its way to achieving the SDGs. The 2019 through 2020 GDHS was implemented by the Gambia Bureau of Statistics with project leadership from the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and technical assistance was provided by ICF under the DHS program. Funding for the 2019 through 2020 GDHS was provided by the Government of the Gambia, the United States Agency for International Development, United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and other partners.
Thank you very much for that video. I think that has given us a synopsis of the key findings of the survey. More of it will be presented in the technical session. But for those who want to get the details too, we will be provided with the report. We have the main report. We also have a summarized report. Now on the program here, we have remarks from the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, our own minister. And we hope to hear good news from our Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Dr. Aissatou Touré, the Minister of Health, Dr. Samate, Honorable Ministers, the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations Systems in the Gambia, the UNFPA representative and representative of other UN agencies in the Gambia, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Deputy Director, U.S. Aid Representative Office in Dakar, Chairman and members of the Board of Directors of GBOS, National Assembly members, permanent secretaries, head of institutions, media, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. I am honored to be with you today to participate in the launch and dissemination of the second Gambia Demographic and Health Survey. The planning of this survey began in early 2019 with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Health taking the lead in the planning and resource mobilization for the conduct of this very important survey. Some of you will recall that the Vice President and I co-chaired the first meetings of the DHS when she was Minister of Health. I am therefore delighted that she is here with us today to launch the DHS report, which is the final product of those efforts. Your Excellency, Madam Vice President, congratulations. Indeed, it has been a challenging task at the beginning, but through collaborative efforts with development partners under the leadership of UNFPA, we are here today happily launching the report. The DHS is very important for the Gambia as it provides most of the health indicators needed to track progress towards achieving our development goals, such as the SDGs, the AU Agenda 2063, and the National Development Plan 2018 to 2021. It is quite timely as we approach the end of the current development plan and begin reflecting on the priorities of the next development plan. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we convene to launch this very important national document, we also have a unique opportunity to highlight the importance of statistics in supporting development initiatives as well as its critical position in development planning, monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Thus, under my stewardship, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs will continue to support statistical capacity building aimed at enabling our statistics system adequately respond to our national data requirement. To this end, we are working and will continue to collaborate closely with the Gambia Bureau of Statistics and our development partners to support the implementation of the second National Strategy for Development of Statistics 2018 to 2022. This statistics blueprint contains all key statistical activities planned for the period 2018 to 2022, and of course includes this survey whose results we are now launching today. Furthermore, in an allied move, the ministry has plans to open an account to support these initiatives, and it is required, among other activities, to ensure smooth conduct of the 2023 population and housing census and the economic census, which is required to rebase our GDP. Observations from key indicators reports have shown that some national indicators have significantly improved. Just to highlight some indicators, I am glad to see reduction in child malnutrition rates, an increase in contraceptive use, and the fact that more women are receiving prenatal and delivery care. These are crucial for a proper early development of any child. Notwithstanding, we are aware that there is still room for improvement, especially in the area of childhood survival, use of ITNS, and women's empowerment. Therefore, I wish to urge all of us to use the results of the DHS being disseminated today to inform our decisions in our respective sectors. Your Excellency, Madam Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the excellent work done by the Bureau of Statistics in this challenging project. From the highest level of management to each individual field worker and data processing personnel, this survey was a huge undertaking which was met with professionalism and dedication. I wish to commend you all for your dedication and high sense of professionalism in the execution of this project. Without your collective efforts, we would not have been here today to celebrate what was a very successful venture. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs would also like to thank many partners who have made this survey possible. I wish to single out UNFPA for the pivotal role the agency played in mobilizing UN agencies to support the DHS and also contributing significantly in the funding of the survey. We also appreciate the significant financial contributions of our other local UN agencies, particularly UNDP, UNICEF, and WHO. In general, I wish to convey government's sincere appreciation to the UN system in the country for their continuous support to statistical development in the Gambia. May I also convey our gratitude to the USAID West Africa Action Aid International Network Against Gender-Based Violence, National Nutrition Agency, and of course ourselves, the government of the Gambia, for their financial support contribution to the DHS. I am aware that ICF International has been a part of the entire process of planning and implementation of the DHS process. I have been reliably informed that their high-quality technical support contributed significantly to getting us to this final stage of the DHS project. ICF has always been a reliable partner, having provided similar technical support in the 2013 DHS. On behalf of the Gambia, of the government of the Gambia and people, I therefore thank ICF for all their support. Going through the results of the survey, one will realize that GBOS needed inputs of many sectors. I wish to thank officials of the Ministry of Health, under the leadership of our able Dr. Samate and other ministries, departments, agencies, civil society, private sector, and many other stakeholders who have supported this project with their technical expertise. It is only through this type of collaboration that we can execute a survey of this magnitude. I believe we will maintain this spirit of cooperation in the interpretation of and use of the survey results to guide our national development efforts. In conclusion, let me again acknowledge the efforts of my colleagues at GBOS in realizing the DHS 2019-2020 and thank many partners and donors for their support, for supporting this huge task. Finally, we wish to take this opportunity to especially very special thank you to Her Excellency the Vice President for gracing this occasion. We look forward to working with all stakeholders to truly make this most of everything this survey results has offered. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, the Chairperson, Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Honorable Minister of Health, other honorable ministers here present today, the UNFPA representative and representatives of other UN agencies here present, the ambassador of the US Embassy in the Gambia, and the representative of the United States government, head of USAID to Sahel, ably representing the ambassador, the Statistician General, Gambia Bureau of Statistics, permanent secretaries here present, heads of institutions here present, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols respectfully observed. Good morning to all of you. I am very pleased to be here today to launch the 2019-2020 Gambia Demographic and Health Survey. I am proud that we have completed a second demographic and health survey, providing our government and partners with the high-quality data we need to guide national and regional programs and to evaluate how well these programs have worked. As indicated by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, I wish to affirm to you that this project is considered to be highly significant by the government of His Excellency, Mr. Adama Barrow, the President of the Republic of the Gambia. His Excellency, the President, was in the forefront to ensure that resources are available to implement this survey, and thanks to Allah that it has been successfully conducted and that I am here with you today on his behalf to launch the report. Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the importance of this survey cannot be overemphasized, and the government of the Gambia will henceforth ensure that it is conducted regularly at 3 years interval as the equally important survey, the multiple indicator cluster survey mix. I would like to thank the Statistician General and his colleagues at the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, staff of the various units of the Ministry of Health who participated in this survey, and other stakeholders for their hard work and dedication to this survey. Along with the support of USAID, UNFPA, ICF, UNDP, and many other donors and supports, GBOS has worked tirelessly to provide nationally representative data. This vital information on a range of health and social issues, from fertility to child nutrition to domestic violence, is now accessible for us to make evidence-based decisions and policies. Colleagues and friends, this new survey shows us many ways that the health situation in the Gambia has improved. When the new dispensation was voted into power since 2017, the fertility rate has decreased, many more women are delivering in health facilities, more children are vaccinated, and children's nutritional status has improved. But there is no room for complacency, as we still have much work to do. Although women's use of family planning has increased since 2013, still only 17% of married women are using a modern method of family planning, and many have unmet needs. Despite important improvements in child health, childhood mortality has not made a much significant decline since 2013. Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, I take special interest in the status of women in this country. I am pleased to see that the GDHS provides important insights regarding the status of women. The findings of the survey show that more than 1 in 3 Gambian women have never attended school. Only about half of women are literate. Almost 4 in 10 ever married women have experienced spousal violence by their current or most recent husband or partner, whether physical, sexual, or emotional violence. 3/4 of women aged 15 to 49 in the Gambia have been circumcised, and more than 4 in 10 women reported that they have challenges in seeking health care for themselves, such as the cost and distance to health facilities. We have taken note of these findings, and government of the Gambia, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Mr. Adama Barrow, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, will leave no stone unturned to close the gaps on gender disparities. The health of every child and woman in this country is our concern, and all possible remedies will be explored to uplift the well-being of children and women in this country. We will continue to hear many more interesting and critical findings emanating from the report today by the experts. However, completing the survey and presenting the result here at the national launching are only the beginning. Now we need to make sure that the survey findings are made available to health professionals, planners, researchers, academia, and policymakers, just to mention a few. It is important to emphasize the relevance to use this data to inform and guide our decision-making process. I have tasked GBOS to fulfill its role in disseminating the findings of this survey to the lowest possible level and to all relevant groups and individuals of society at the shortest possible time. Chairperson, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my sincere appreciation is extended to the 16,501 women and men in the Gambia who responded to this survey. I pledge to honor your time spared during the interviews and valuable contributions made during the data collection exercise. It is no doubt that your responses will help to advance the health and well-being of Gambians throughout the country. Let me once more acknowledge the tremendous efforts made by GBOS, who spearheaded the implementation process of this survey. We applaud their effective leadership, hard work, and dedication. We must also thank ICF for providing technical assistance and supporting GBOS throughout the process. Finally, our thanks to USAID that funds the Global DHS program and all the donor partners who also contributed funding for this survey, namely UNFPA, UNDP, UNICEF, the World Health Organization, the National Nutrition Agency, Action Aid International, the Gambia, and the Network for Gender-Based Violence. The government of the Gambia is proud to be among these donors who made it possible for us to collect this valuable data, and I hope that the data will inform your decisions and implementation. I thank you all for your kind attention, and I also launch the report. Thank you very much. Please make sure you make use of this document.
I'm going to my presentation now. Like the key finding videos indicate, and also the speakers, the conduct of the 2019-2020 GDHS was a collaborative effort. There were so many stakeholders involved. The Gambia Bureau of Statistics was the implementing agency, but it's not just us. We implemented this survey in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. Also, the funding for the survey came from United States Agency for International Development. The speakers have mentioned that. But there were also other major funders. For example, UNFPA put a lot of funding. Not only funding, but they've also assisted us in coordination of the survey. They help us in also the communication aspect of the survey. UNDP also put in a lot of money into this survey. And those are not the only two. We have other major funders. We have UNICEF, we have WHO, we have Action Aid International, we have Gender-Based Violence, Network Against Gender-Based Violence, and NANA. And also the government of the Gambia also contributed to this exercise, to the funding of this survey. Of course, ICF provided technical assistance through the DHS program. Okay. All right. Now, in the 2019 GDHS, 6,985 households were selected. Out of these, 6,736 households were occupied. But we successfully interviewed 6,549 households, giving us a response rate of 97%. Now, there were 12,481 eligible women. Out of these, we successfully interviewed 11,865 women, yielding a response rate of 95%. Now, for the male interviews, we focused on the age bracket 15 to 49. There were 5,337 eligible men. Out of these, we successfully interviewed 4,636 men, giving us a response rate of 87%. Now, the next slide, we talk about access to drinking water. As you can see from the chart, 95% of households in the Gambia have access to improved source of drinking water. Now, when we say improved source of drinking water, we're referring to pipe connection. You have pipe to your dwelling, or pipe to a neighbor, or you have pipe to yard. Or public taps are also improved sources of drinking water. Also, protected wells are also improved sources of drinking water. So on improved sources, for example, unprotected wells, surface water, all these are on improved sources of drinking water. So we are not doing that bad in terms of drinking water. The only thing important to note is that 55% of households in rural areas get their water from a public tap, from a standpipe, meaning not many of them have access to pipe water like the urban areas. Yeah? We can also see that access to drinking water is similar in urban and rural areas. You can see for urban is 96%, and also rural is what? 92%. On sanitation, 72% of households in the Gambia have access to improved sanitation. Also, when we say improved sanitation, what do we mean? You have flush to sewer, which is in Banjul. Your toilet, you flush it to a septic tank, or you flush it to a pit latrine. These are all improved sanitation. Or you have pit latrine with a slab, it's covered. This is also improved sanitation. But on protected pit latrines, they don't have any cover. This is on improved sanitation, all right? So we can see that 28% of households use on improved facilities. When you look at the urban-rural context, the proportion of households that have access to improved facilities in the urban areas is almost twice those in the rural areas. We see 80% for urban and 44% for rural. 54% of households use on improved facilities in the rural areas. We still have 1% of households in the Gambia practicing open defecation. Yeah? Okay. And then on education, we see that 35% of women aged 15 to 49, and 22% of men have no education. Okay, but we see for primary education, it is similar for both men and women. 16% of women have access to primary education, and 17% of men have access to primary education. For secondary education, 51% of men attended secondary education, while 42% of women attended secondary education. Modern secondary education, we have only 10% of men attended modern secondary education, and 7% of women attended modern secondary education. Now, fertility trends. So when we say total fertility, we're referring to the average number of children a woman would have by the end of her childbearing years. If she gives birth according to the current age-specific fertility rates, we can see that the current fertility rate for the Gambia is 4.4 children per woman. And we have seen that fertility has decreased since 2013, because our last GDHS was in 2013, from 5.6 to 4.4 children per woman. We can also see that fertility is higher in rural areas than in the urban areas. In the urban areas, fertility is 5.9 children per woman, while in the urban area it is 3.9 children per woman. I will also see fertility varies across local government areas. We see the lowest is in Banjul, where we are having 3.1 children per woman, and the highest is in Kuntau, where we have 6.4 children per woman. Now, teenage childbearing. This is the proportion of women aged 15 to 49 who are mothers or were pregnant with their first child at the time of the survey. We can see that currently teenage pregnancy is 14% for young women aged 15 to 49. It has decreased since 2013 from 18% to what? 14%. For urban centers, teenage pregnancy did not change since 2013. We can see it's stagnant there. But for rural areas, we see a reduction since 2013 from 24% to what? 20%. Now we look at use of current family planning. We see that currently 17% of married women use a modern method of family planning, while only 2% use a traditional method. The most common type of modern method used by married women are injectables, followed by implants, and then the pill. Now, for sexually active unmarried women, 41% use a modern method of family planning, and less than 1% use a traditional method. The most common modern method among sexually active unmarried women is the implant, which is 20%, followed by injectables, the pill and condom, each 5%. Now we look at use of modern methods by LGA. So, use of modern methods in the Gambia is 17%. But we can see regarding use of modern methods, it ranges from a low of 8% in Basse to a high of 22% in Banjul. Now we look at trends in use of family planning. We can see that use of family planning has increased from 9% since 2013 to 19% in 2019-2020. So 8 plus 1, 9 to 19. And we have also seen that use of modern methods has increased from 8% in 2013 to 17% in 2019. Some more women are using modern methods. Now, unmet need, the Vice President mentioned this in her speech, but what is unmet need is the proportion of women who want to delay or stop childbearing, but they are not using any contraception. Okay, we see that 24% of women aged 15 to 59 have an unmet need. 19% wants to delay, while 6% wants to stop childbearing altogether. But all these people are not using any contraception. Met need is what? 19%. This is the current contraceptive prevalence rate. In 19% of women aged 15 to 49 are using a method of contraception. The total demand, which is the sum of unmet need, met and unmet need, is what? 43%. So the demand for family planning is 43%. Now, demand satisfied. So when we say demand satisfied, this is the current use of contraception divided by met need plus unmet need. And it measures the extent to which women want to delay or stop childbearing altogether. We also see demand satisfied by modern method is only 40%. Only 40% of the demand for modern method is satisfied. Now we look at the trends in demand for family planning. Now the demand for modern method has gone up since 2013. It has increased from 24% to what? 40%. Also total demand has gone up since 2013. It has increased from 34% to what? 43%. Unmet need did not change since 2013. We see it's 25, 24. Okay, now we look at the child mortality estimates. And then for the sake of those who are not new to these terms, when we talk about neonatal mortality, it's the probability of dying in the first month of life. When we talk about post-neonatal mortality, it's the probability of dying between the first month and first birthday. And then infant mortality is the probability of dying before first birthday. And then we have child mortality. This is the probability of dying between age 1 and age 5. And then we have under 5 mortality, which is the probability of dying before 5th birthday. So just for... Now we can see that neonatal mortality has gone up since 2013. Trends in childhood mortality. It has increased from 22% to it has increased from 22 to 29 deaths per 1,000 live births. Okay? Also, post-neonatal mortality did not change since 2013, but infant mortality has increased from 34 deaths per 1,000 live births to what? 42 deaths per 1,000 live births. Child mortality has dropped since 2013, from 20% to what? 20 deaths per 1,000 live births to 15 deaths per 1,000 live births. Under 5 mortality has slightly increased from 54 to what? 56 deaths per 1,000 live births. So it means currently every 1,000 live births, 56 children die. Okay, in the Gambia. That's for under 5 mortality. Now we look at under 5 mortality. That's the probability of dying before 50th birthday by local government area. We see that under 5 mortality ranges from a low of 55 in Basse to a high of 79 deaths in both Mansa Konko and Kerr per 1,000 live births. So the lowest is in Basse and the highest in Kuntauru and what? Mansa Konko, sorry. Okay. Now we look at childhood mortality by previous birth interval. We can see that for both infant mortality and under 5 mortality, the percentages are higher for children with a birth interval of less than 2 years. Okay? Compared to the rest, compared to those with a birth interval of 2, 3, and at least 4 years. We see that for those with a birth interval of less than 2 years, the spacing between the children, we have 95 deaths per 1,000 live births. And also here, under 5 mortality, we see for those with a birth interval of less than 2 years, we have 116 deaths per 1,000 live births. So spacing is very important for the health of both the mother and the child. And then we have 2 important indicators. We have pregnancy-related mortality, and that's the definition. And then we have maternal mortality. When we talk about pregnancy-related mortality, it includes deaths that occur to women during pregnancy or childbirth, and includes deaths up to 2 months after birth, irrespective of the cause of death. It can be due to violence or accident. Okay, so it's included in this definition. And the name has been revised. In the 2013 DHS, the term we used was maternal death. But here we are using pregnancy-related. That's why we said the name has been revised. But it means we have comparative data for this indicator, right? While for maternal mortality, we did not use the definition that was used in the 2013 DHS. This time around, we used the WHO definition. The WHO definition excludes deaths from accidents or violence. But in the 2013 DHS, accidents and deaths were included in the definition of maternal mortality. That's why here we said no trend data is available. So we don't want people to go out there and say maternal mortality has decreased since 2013 because the definitions are different. If you want to do comparison, you have to focus on pregnancy-related mortality, the value in this period, and in the 2013 DHS, you look at maternal deaths then and see what's happening. But do not try to compare maternal mortality because the definitions are not the same. The one used in 2013 is not the same as the definition that was used in the current period, right? I know there's a lot of debate on social media. People are saying maternal mortality has is going up, others are saying it's going down. But when people want to compare, we don't want them to use the term maternal mortality. They should focus on pregnancy-related mortality, right? That's why in this slide, we said maternal mortality ratio for the 7-year period before the survey is 28 deaths per 100,000 live births. So we know for every 100,000 live births, 289 women die, right? Yeah, and the confidence interval is there. So this for the current period, but we cannot say that it has decreased for this indicator from 2013 because the definitions are not the same. But this indicator, we can use this to compare the trend in pregnancy-related mortality. We see in 2013, pregnancy-related mortality was 433 deaths per 100,000 live births, while in the 2019 GDH is what? 320 deaths per 100,000 live births. But there's a catch. When you look at the confidence interval, those are the confidence intervals. Between the two, they overlap. One is from 299 to 567, and the other one is 231 to 409. So statistically, we cannot say there is a difference between them. There is a significant difference between them because the two confidence intervals overlap. Although the graph shows you a downward trend, but statistically, we cannot say there is a difference between them. Okay? And then we look at antenatal care. This is pregnancy care provided by a skilled provider. For example, nurses, doctors, when we say skilled providers. And we see that 98% of women receive antenatal care from a skilled provider. Majority provided by nurses and midwives, 86%, and 12% provided by doctors. Okay, we still have 2% who are depending on skilled care, and 1% are not receiving any antenatal care. Now we look at trend in antenatal care for women in the age 15 to 49. We see that antenatal care has increased from 86 to 96% from 2013 to 2019, 2020 GDH. And then we also see that the number of women with at least four antenatal visits has not changed much since 2013. But we've seen that there's improvement in the number of antenatal care visits. Women who are having their first antenatal visit in the first trimester, there is some improvement from 38 to 43%. Now, place of delivery. We see that 84% of births are delivered in a health facility. That is 76 plus 8, right? Because 76 is public health facility and 8 is private sector facility when you sum them. So we have 84% of births are delivered in a health facility. But for the Gambia, that's the total. But we still have 15% of births that are delivered at home. So we need to work on that. Now, when we also look at the rural context, we have 23% of births that are delivered at home. Maybe the health people also need to focus on this. Now we look at health facility delivery by local government areas. It ranges from 64% lowest in Kuntauru to 94% in Banjul. Okay. Now assistance during delivery. So this is the assistance provided by skilled providers. When we say skilled providers, we mean nurses, doctors, and midwives during delivery. And we can see that 84% of births are assisted by a skilled provider. Majority is provided by nurses and midwives, 73%. 11% of the assistance is given by doctors. or we have 13% of births that are given by unskilled providers. And then also when you look at assistance during delivery, it ranges from 62% in Kuntauru to 95% in Banjul. When we look at trends in delivery care, we've also seen that since 2013, institutional delivery has increased from 63% to 84%. Okay, currently 84% of deliveries are happening in health facilities. Also, the delivery assisted by a skilled provider, we've also seen an improvement from 57 to 84. Also, delivery at home has gone down since 2013, but we still need to work on the 15% that are done in the homes, right? Okay. So we'll also look at vaccination coverage. The ministers have spoke about this. We look at basic vaccination. Now, when we say basic vaccination, we are considering children aged 12 to 23 months. And to have basic vaccination, you need 1 dose of BCG, which protects you against tuberculosis. You need 3 doses of DPT containing vaccines. You also need 3 doses of polio vaccine and 1 dose of measles containing vaccine. If you have all this, you are considered to have received basic vaccination. You need all this. 1 dose of BCG, 3 doses of polio containing vaccine, DPT, 3 doses of polio vaccine, and 1 dose of measles containing vaccine. When you have all these 4, you're considered to have basic vaccination. And we see that 85% of children aged 12 to 23 have basic vaccination. They've received basic vaccination, while less than 1% did not receive any vaccination. Okay. So we have seen how many percent receive BCG. These are the doses. So we have dose 1, 2, 3. And we have for polio, we have the first dose, the second dose, and the third dose. So if you have all these, you are considered to have received basic vaccination. So when you look at basic vaccination coverage by LGA, the highest is in Mansa Konko, followed by, and the lowest in Banjul. We see that in Banjul, only 77% of children aged 12 to 23 receive basic vaccination. And also look at trends in basic vaccination. Since 2013, basic vaccination has increased from 76% to what? 85%. So the current level is 85%. And we see that since 2013, there has been no change in no vaccination. The proportion of children aged 12 to 23 who did not receive any vaccination did not change since 2013. It's still 1%, around 1%. Now, early breastfeeding, WHO, okay, so here 98% of children have ever been breastfed. So it means breastfeeding is a very common practice in the Gambia. 36% of children were breastfed within the first hour of birth, while 93% were breastfed within 24 hours. So breastfeeding is a very common practice in the Gambia. But let's look at exclusive breastfeeding. We know WHO recommends that children be fed with nothing but breast milk in the first 6 months of life. So, and we can see here that 54% of children were exclusively breastfed in the first 5 months of the birth, okay? And for children aged 0 to 1 month, it's at what? 75% of them were exclusively breastfed. For those between 2 to 3 months, 57% were exclusively breastfed. And those between 4 to 5 months, 28% were exclusively breastfed. And the median duration of any breastfeeding in general in the Gambia is 20.4 months. Exclusive breastfeeding, the median duration is 3.1 months. And for predominant breastfeeding, when we say predominant breastfeeding, we are referring to those who were either exclusively breastfed, or they were fed with plain water, or other non-milk products. This is what I mean by exclusive breastfeeding, and it's at 5.7 months. Now we go to anemia. Anemia is a condition that's marked by low levels of hemoglobin in the blood, and iron deficiency is the common cause according to WHO, but we have other causes of anemia also. Now let's look at anemia. Here, 45% of children aged 6 to 59 are anemic in the Gambia. 45% of children aged 6 to 59 are currently anemic. It means that they have a hemoglobin level of less than 11 grams per deciliter. 24% have mild anemia. They have a hemoglobin level of 10 to 10.9 grams per deciliter, and 20% have moderate anemia, while only 1% have severe anemia. These are children with less than 7 grams per deciliter of their level of hemoglobin is less than 7 grams per deciliter. When we look at anemia in children by local government area, it ranges from 30% in Brikama to 77% in Kuntao. Now, also we look at anemia in women. 44% of women in the Gambia aged 15 to 49 are anemic. For mild anemia, we have 26%, moderate is 17%. So for both children and women, 1% have severe anemia. Now we look at trends in anemia among children and women. We see that anemia in children has dropped sharply from 73% in 2013 to 45% in 2019. And also for women, it changed from 60 to 64. We still need to do more, but there's been some improvement. Okay. Now we look at stunting, wasting, underweight, and overweight. For those of us who are not familiar with the concept, so when we talk about stunting, low height for age, okay, it's a sign of chronic undernutrition that reflects failure to receive adequate nutrition over a long period of time. And then we have also wasting, low weight for height. Okay, low weight for height. It's also a measure of acute undernutrition and represents the failure to receive adequate nutrients in the period immediately before the survey. We also have overnutrition, which what you consume is more than what you expend. So we have people who are overweight. What they are consuming is less than what they use. So we also have that. And we have underweight, which is a composite measure reflecting both stunting and wasting. And it's a measure of acute malnutrition. So we look at by LGA, stunting, child stunting by LGA. We see it ranges, the highest is in Kuntao and the lowest in Banjul. Okay. Let's look at trends in nutritional status of children. We see that since 2013, stunting has decreased from 25% to what? 18%. Those underweight, it also decreased from 16 to 12%. Okay, the proportion that are overweight did not change since 2013. It's at 2 and 3%. So we look at insecticide-treated nets. We see that 77% of households in the Gambia have at least one insecticide-treated net. An insecticide-treated net is a factory-treated net that does not require any treatment. You just use it. Yeah? 77% of households in the Gambia have at least one insect-treated net. The proportion is higher for rural than urban. We see that 95% of rural households have at least one insecticide-treated net. And then the next slide, the next chart looks at what we call full household ITN coverage. this is if the proportion of the population who could sleep under an ITN if each ITN in the household is used by at least is used by up to 2 people. Yeah, that's what we mean by full ITN coverage. And we've seen that it's 36% for the Gambia. It's 50 for rural and 32 for urban. Now we look at ITN ownership by local government area. The highest is in Kuntauru and the lowest in Kanifing, which is 64. Okay. And then we look at trends in ITC ownership. So more households are owning ITNs now because we've seen that since 2013, it has increased from 69 to what? 77. And then full ITN coverage also went up from 23 to 33%. So trends in ITSM access and use. So when we say access to an ITN, what do we mean? This is the proportion of the population that could sleep under an ITN if each ITM in the household are used by up to 2 people. That's what we mean by access to an ITN. And we have seen that it's gone up from 45 to 61% since 2013. But the proportion of the population that slept under an ITN the night before the survey did not change. Since 2013, it's at 37 and 38%. Use of ITNs. The night before the survey, 44% of children under 5 slept under a mosquito net, and 44% of pregnant women slept under a mosquito net the night before the survey. For the Gambia, 36% of households members slept under a mosquito net the night before the survey. So children's use of ITN by local government area. The use of ITN is highest in Janjambre, which is 60%, and lowest in Bassi, 34%. So we look at trend here. There isn't much change. The use of ITN among women and children. For pregnant women, since 2013, it hasn't changed much. It's 46 in 2013 and it's 44 now. Also among children, it hasn't changed much because it's 47, 44. So use of ITN among children and women has remained stagnant since 2013. So intermittent preventive treatment during pregnancy. We see that for the Gambia, 3% of women with a live birth have received at least 3 doses of Fancida in their last pregnancy. We've seen that it has gone up since 2013 because it has improved from 6 to 52%. The proportion of women 15 to 49 who receive at least 1 dose of SP or Fancida has also increased from 94 to 98 since 2013. And the proportion of women 15 to 49 with a live birth who had at least 2 doses of Fancida in their last pregnancy increased from 63 to 80%. Now, knowledge of HIV prevention methods. We see that in the Gambia, 66% of women and 74% of men know that using condoms and limiting sex to one infected partner can reduce the risk of HIV infection. And then for limiting to sex to one uninfected partner, it's 86 for women and 89 for men. And for condom, it's 71 for women and 78 for men. So we also look at knowledge of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. And here, for women and men aged 15 to 49, okay, we see that 16% of women know that HIV can be transmitted from mother to child during pregnancy, delivery, and by breastfeeding. And all 58% of women know that HIV transmission, mother to child transmission, can be reduced if the mother takes special drugs. The proportion is 35 for men. Okay, the knowledge is higher among women, what I'm seeing. HIV testing for women age and men age 15 to 49, we see that 39% of women have ever tested and received their results for HIV, while only 25% of men have ever tested and received their results. Now, regarding testing in the 12 months preceding the survey, the proportion is 30% for women and 9% for men. So it means 13% of women were tested in the 12 months before the survey and they received their results. The proportion is just 9% for men. Now, comprehensive knowledge of HIV among youth by residents. Now, what do we mean when we say comprehensive knowledge? It means knowing that the risk of HIV can be reduced by using condoms. It was presented in a previous slide, and limiting sex to one uninfected partner, knowing that a healthy-looking person can have HIV, and rejecting the two most common local misconceptions about HIV prevention and transmission. For example, I will not send my child to this school because other kids have HIV, or I'll not buy vegetables from this vendor because the person has HIV. And we can see that 22% of women have a comprehensive knowledge of HIV, while only 18% of men have a comprehensive knowledge of HIV. When you look at urban and high, it's lower in the rural than in the urban areas. Now look at trends in women's participation in decision making. So the DHS asked questions to women about their participation in 3 types of decisions. That is their own health care, whether their participation in their own health care, about visiting relatives or friends, and also their participation in household purchases. Yeah, and we can see that since 2013, the proportion of women who participate in decisions about their own health care has gone down from 72 to what? 48%. And also, regarding visit to family and friends, it has dropped sharply from 71 to 40%. But when you look at all major decisions, it has also dropped from 39 to 27%. Currently, 27% of women aged 50 to 59 participate in all 3 decisions. That is purchases, healthcare, and visit to friends. Yeah, so, but for purchases, they said no. It went up from 49 to 53. So, experience of physical violence for women aged 15 to 59. We see that 46% of women experience physical violence since age 15. So when we say physical violence, for example, you slap someone, you pull the hair, you hit the head against the table, or you strangle, all this is physical violence. So it's a large number, 15% of married women 15 to 49 experience physical violence. Now, in the 12 months preceding the survey, 11% of women aged 15 to 49 were subjected to physical violence. Okay? Now we look at experience of sexual violence. In the Gambia, 9% of women aged 15 to 49 ever experienced sexual violence. For example, someone forced you to have sexual intercourse against your will, or they force you to do other sexual acts that you do not want to do. All this would constitute sexual violence. In the 12 months before the survey, 12% of the population of women aged 15 to 59 were subjected to sexual violence. Now, spousal violence. So when we talk about spousal violence, we are talking about all the 3: physical violence, sexual violence, and we had another component called emotional violence. For example, if your partner humiliates you in front of others, this is emotional violence, or does not allow you perhaps to visit your family, this will be emotional violence. We see that spousal violence, the proportion of women experiencing spousal violence, that ever experienced spousal violence, is 39%. That's too high. And before this survey, 17%, 12 months before the survey, 17% of women aged 15 to 49 experience spousal violence, either physical violence, sexual violence, or emotional violence. But the most common type of violence women are subjected to is physical violence, followed by emotional violence, and then sexual violence. Now, trends in spousal violence. We see that since 2013, the proportion of ever married women subjected to emotional violence has increased from 16 to what? 24%. Physical violence has increased from 20 to 29%, and sexual violence has increased from 3 to 6%. The proportion of women who experience all types of violences has also increased from 26% to 39%. So we have a lot to do in this area because we are seeing a rise in the proportion of women who are subjected to spousal violence. So decision makers, the policy makers, the government may need to look at this. Type of circumcision also. We see the most common type of FGM practiced in the Gambia involves cutting and removal of the flesh. It's 73%, while only 17 are sewn closed. Okay? So the most common type of female circumcision in the Gambia is cutting and removal of the flesh. But we can look at the prevalence by local government area. It ranges from a low of 42% in Kerr to a high of 97% in Basse. So it's very common in the Gambia. We see 78 in Brikama, it's 80 in Mansa Konko. Yeah, it's highest in Basse, 97%. Now look at percentage distribution of girls aged 0 to 14 by age at circumcision. We see here 22% of children are circumcised before they reach their first birthday. We can see age less than 1 year. Okay, 22% of children are circumcised before they reach their first birthday. And for those aged 1 to 4, it's 19%. But overall, 46% of children aged 0 to 14 are circumcised in the Gambia. Okay, we have a lot of statistical products, both electronic and print. They will be disseminated on our website. We have a final report which we brought here, the printed copy. I will upload the electronic copies on the website. DHS will also upload all materials on their website. We have a key findings video. We have a wall chart. You've seen it at the entrance. We have also national and LGA fact sheets. I'll upload these on our website. And then we'll also disseminate the data set after this event here today. I'll upload the data set on the website for those who are interested in doing further research. And also, we'll introduce journalists to the START compiler and API, the DHS API, when we hold the virtual workshop. Okay? Yeah. So that's the end of my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, contributions, the floor is open. It's not just me, there's a whole team here. We are ready to answer your questions.
I had a question on FGM and cutting, and in the Gambia, I noticed that it was just cutting of the flesh. The World Health Organization has 5 different levels. Have there been any differentiation in terms of which of those 5 are practiced in the Gambia, like from the least amount to the removal of on the report, it gives them more details. Okay, thank you.
First of all, thank you. My name is Jerry Baji, and that's my wife here. We're actually visiting from the US, arrived a few days ago. And I really want to express my sincere appreciation for this work, because we live out in the West, but we are really passionate about development in Gambia. You know, we have an NGO that supports access to quality education, and during some of our work, some of the challenges we face is getting some of this data. So I can't even express how much this is important to some of the work we're trying to do to give back to our community. So thank you for this wonderful work, really appreciate it. The Statistician General actually happens to be my uncle, so he invited us here today. I'm just curious, while conducting this, what challenges did you guys face in trying to compile, this valuable material? And how did you, try to overcome them?
Thank you very much. I also want to join participants in thanking GBOS and partners for this job. I didn't see a comparison in terms of knowledge relative to the HIV indicators you pointed. 2013 as compared to 2019. I know I can go back to the 2013 and look at the trends, but for the general consumption of the participant, it's good to point out whether there is a downward trend or an upward. I also want to add the advocacy message to UNFPA and partners that in the next 5 years, we hope to see an inclusion of the HIV prevalence in the DHS. Because for this one, it's only the knowledge component that is included. We know it was on the basis of financial constraints and the blanket policy by other partners to say when the prevalence is less than 2%, it's not value for money to invest in the DHS as it relates to HIV prevalence. But we always say when you want to use a one-size-fits-all approach, you miss out in some cases. So in our context, we don't have a population-based study that looks at the HIV trend apart from the DHS 2013. So as a country, I think we should give it the context it deserves rather than apply the blanket policy to say because the prevalence is less than 2%, it is not value for money. We should contextualize. In other countries, they have other population-based studies that they can rely on for planning. In our context, it's only the DHS. So that's my advocacy to the SG, to the UNFPA, and all partners here present. Thank you.
We prefer to stay behind the scenes, but I was forced to come out and maybe respond to this. You asked about the challenges, right? Definitely it was very challenging. I would start first and foremost with the resources. It was difficult to put the resources together. I remember at some point we almost called it off because we were discouraged when we knocked at a lot of doors and we were unable to get this thing going. I remember I met Kunle at one point, was it in Ghana or Morocco? And then he was pushing me, he was telling me, you guys need to push. Let's try to push for that. I'll also see what I can do on my part to make sure we put the funds together. So eventually, with what they were able to put on the table, and other UN agencies as well, the government of the Gambia, NANA, and ActionAid, we were able to kickstart. It started a long time ago when we had the ICF technical team that came on the ground to do both the sampling and working on the questionnaires. It's a very long process, and then we did a training for over a month, and we had about 88 participants that were there. We had to break actually the team into two so that the training is very effective. And then we went into the field for about 120 days, which was very challenging. At some point, people were just tired, they wanted to come home. And towards the end of the activity, we had the onset of the coronavirus. And then we even had to lose a whole enumeration area because the people in the community got information on the social media that there are people who are coming around to inject people with coronavirus. So they threatened to even, attack them in that community. So we had to advise them to stay away from that community. There were a lot of challenges, not only there. When we were done with the data as well, there was a lot of back and forth, you know, and we tried to make sure that all the stakeholders are also involved in the report writing. After which, today, finally, we have this good piece of work here. So I will also I will take this opportunity to thank all those who participated in one way or the other. Whether you have your name written on the report or not, we want to commend all of you for your efforts. So I hope this answers your question.
As people in the health system, we are all concerned about this information about maternal mortality. However, I have a worry about the way you are trying to get the information from the people. Well, it looks like the household survey. You go to a house, ask the woman, okay, you have anybody who died here, pregnancy related. How sure are we that that woman they are reporting did not have a 2 months pregnancy that she's carrying? We cannot tell. We know in the Gambia people are pregnant, they do not report, and they can die. So if a woman is 2 months pregnant, she did not report, probably she has a ruptured ectopic. It's still captured as a maternal mortality from the WHO point of view. Now, these are not health experts. How do they come to tell you people that this is actually a maternal mortality or even a pregnancy-related mortality? How confident are you that the information that they are giving you is really true?
So the sisterhood method has limitations because it depends on the recall of the sisters. They ask you when she died, was she pregnant, but you may not know. Also, if the sister aborted it, the respondent may not report it. So we depend on the recall of the sister. So it has limitations, okay? All studies have limitations, yeah? But in fact, this is not the best way to collect data on maternal mortality. Surveys are not the best way. If we have civil registry, good vital registration systems, that's the best way to do this. But that's why many countries are depending on DHS because they don't have a good vital registration system.
Information provided here is actually very useful, and it will help us in advancing our health intervention. So one thing has clearly come out here. First, I will start with the LGAs. You know, the Kuntauri area keep underperforming, and even in the last DHS, Kuntauri area has been underperforming. And as policymakers, I think we need to take it very seriously to see which type of interventions we put in place to make sure that Kuntauru area, in terms of social indicators, health indicators, educational indicators, when you look at it critically, Kuntauru area has not been performing well. So on the subject, the maternal mortality, you know, the definition, you know, is trying to change. But however, I don't want to get into it too much because it is a survey. But from the data that we are receiving at the facility level, we also have, you know, the number of deliveries that takes place, and you can see that skill delivery have gone up. So we can also say reliably that with the data that we have, because of the skill delivery that are going up, and we are capturing a lot of women attending, you know, delivery in our facilities, because statistically in our HMIS system, we have seen a downward trend in terms of mortality, maternal mortality, and it is around 216, you know, MMR, you know, compared to 2013. So, and then here, your pregnancy-related is around 299. So for us, for the past, from last January to date, you know, our data that we have been using for planning is the actual, you know, 216 reduction in maternal mortality, based on the number of people that have delivered in our facility, and based on the estimated, you know, pregnancy that we also have as per the population, because we've worked with your team to try to also, you know, have the population projection for the next, until 2023. You know, our team was working with you to have all this population projection. So I think the health system is actually performing in terms of women's health, because the data we are having based on the utilization of our services, there is downward trend. And the data also we have experiencing based on the utilization for the under 5 has also indicated the, you know, similar to what is also surfaced here. So generally, I think we are making progress in terms of maternal mortality. But the big question is the area councils, the LGAs. We, socially, education is here, health is here, nutrition is here. What intervene? We need to accelerate our interventions to Kuntauru LGA to make sure that, we reduce the deprivation.
The question I have basically is regards to the sampling design or the sampling technique. So I don't know actually whether the actual report has contained it or explained more detail, but I would love to have an insight of the sampling design that has been used and also the degree of reliability with regards to the estimate. So whether we can use it to infer the entire population.
So the sample design will be uploaded on the website for the researchers along with the data set. Yeah, it's very scientific, and the sampling was done. We had a consultant over from the US. He collaborated with colleagues and GBOS, so it's very scientific. Yeah.
Start with the sampling design. The DHS program and mix. To me, they are the most open-minded professionals as far as I'm concerned. So regarding the sampling, any issues you have, you send them an email. They will respond. Even in the instruments, in their estimates, whenever you send them an email, have doubt in whatever they've done, they will respond. It's good that you've raised that, and Sana said will be uploaded, but they are very responsive to questions. Anything you have doubt in what they've produced, consult them through an email, they will respond. Regarding the Kuntawur and Janjangburi raised by our colleague from the Ministry of Health, about a week ago, I and a colleague from GBOS were doing some demographic and socioeconomic profiles of the poorest regions in the Gambia. We have the data. It's horrible, you won't believe it. It's not only on child mortality, neonatal infant under 5. It's not only that. If you come to access to education, if you come to access to improve water, access to improve sanitary facilities, if you come to FGM, if you come to so many indicators, you won't believe it. They are the worst in terms of achievements set by the country in terms of the SDGs, the NDP, Agenda 2063. So to me, I think what Jibril raised, there is a need for us. We can provide you the information. Maybe you work with the Director of Development Planning, Office of the President, DSPD, and you see how best these two regions we can improve their livelihoods. All indicators in the Gambia, they are the worst. So I think there is a need for that to be done. So regarding the DHS maternal mortality estimates, I think globally, that's the only way available now. It's only through surveys in which the DHS program, not because of one reason or the other, they have the capacity compared to the mixed program in terms of conducting maternal mortality, including maternal mortality in their surveys. That's why usually now, they are the only agency that conduct maternal mortality. Some countries now are moving away from that. But you need, as Sana said, to have a very good vital registration system. Or countries like Afghanistan, for instance, they now move to that to verbal autopsy. Because many statisticians or demographers believe that the numbers from verbal autopsy are more authentic than the numbers from household surveys. But a country like the Gambia, if my mom died, for instance, in Boraba, or my sister died as a result of pregnancy-related death, if she dies at 5, let's bury her before 7. So one will know the cause of death, and there is no system in place like in Rwanda in which it's mandatory that anybody who died, before the person is buried, there is a need for you to report that to regional offices, and they will try to establish the cause of death, and that is helping them in terms of their numbers for maternal deaths. So I think as a country, the only option we have now is this DHS survey in which we will have a module. The numbers can be treated with A or B, but it's the most reliable estimates we have currently. Regarding the 433, what we can compare, Sana has projected it. If you look at the report, I think it's figure 16.4 or 16.2. It's well explicit there what can be compared with the 433. So the 289 we have recently now is a baseline for the Gambia, in which not only the Gambia, all other countries now doing a DHS survey or a maternal mortality survey, they must go by the recommendations of the United Nations Monitoring and Evaluation Reference Group of how to measure maternal mortality. So meaning that for the Gambia now, the 289 is a baseline, the 433 can only be compared with the 320. But as Sana said, the confidence levels overlap. So meaning that significant, statistically, you will not see much improvement being done, but numbers-wise, you see a big jump from 433 to 320. I think, as Mr. Jaide said, there is a need for us to sit with the Minister of Health And the journalist meeting, I think this has to come out very clear because the journalists can help us to disseminate the information regarding maternal mortality. And I think I would suggest the National Assembly Select Committee on Health to also be invited in this meeting so that they will understand how these things will arrive at the numbers and they will understand the rationale behind this number so that they will not think that it has dropped because last year there was a lot of noise about a rise in maternal mortality. All of a sudden you see a number, 2019, 2020 has dropped. So unless they are part of the process, Sana, I think will be very helpful to the Bureau and to the country at large so that we all be at the same page in terms of understanding these numbers. But still, many people will not be convinced of these numbers. But still, talking back and forth through the newspapers, no online radios, online TVs, press conferences, I think can help GBOS and the country in terms of understanding how this 433 has dropped to 320, and we have as a country now a baseline 289.
Excellent questions. I think there are many issues that have to go to policy levels that are not, and GBOS are just the people who went to gather data, and to interpret the data. Just a few things. A lot of the things here are estimates, and just to reassure us that surveys are never 100. That's why we have confidence intervals, and so it's never so sure. Since this morning, and even before this morning, we've been debating and cracking our heads on the maternal mortality issue, for example. And I know my major partner ministry, there's a lot of concern in that way. Just to say something in the middle that GBOS must, as the statistics organization, must have plausible deniability. They cannot say, what they do not see. It has to be clear and straight. However, at policy level, if you ask me, there are some things that clearly come out. One is that maternal mortality has not increased in the Gambia. So that's something. So we're doing something right. One is that when we marry this with routine data, we can there's a strong probability that maternal mortality is reducing in the Gambia. And I think that's the major thing. Even whilst we were using 433, if you went to the World Bank site, I think they were using 500 and something. They had their own, they just looked at maybe the distribution of health facilities and they come up with. So maternal health is very difficult to measure. But from what is seen here, and you were asking, Jibril was asking, and Sana was managing and everything. But I think when we sit down, together, again, we might have a specific way to, so that I really think we need to have one clear communication, guidance going out of this. And UNFPA is happy to put this, and by next week at the latest, we sit down with GBOS, the ministry, to find how we address it using basically what's it called now? The pregnancy-related at our baseline and move to that. And I think it will be a good thing for us, and the answers are there. So thank you very much. I thought I should say that, and thank you again.
Chief Kule, the Chairman, National Statistics Council, all of you present here. We didn't want to go over the responses provided by some of my colleagues, but maybe I need to just pick one, and that is particularly the one from from NAS. I think we went too far. We did everything possible to ensure that the HIV testing was done. But because of policy issues, this could not be done first. We thank you for your invaluable time. You've been here throughout with us. We are indeed very grateful. Most of you were partners in the whole process, from the design stage, the implementation stage, and today too you are with us. We appreciate and value your contributions, your presence. Without you, nothing would have been possible. We all don't have the required expertise in GBOS. We have our own area. The Ministry of Health has its own expertise, the National Nutrition Agency and other partners. And it's because of that we have a successful project. Finally, UNFPA, we can't thank you enough. You've been the institution behind this success. It has been rough with me. Sometimes, in fact, Mr. Kule will call me at any time, you know. I don't want to mention the word harass, but then, no, you are not. Okay. But then it was okay. I think all that we were doing was to ensure that the project was a successful one. So today we are here. I believe it was a very good one.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
Agada.
Mbijan raganyani.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ah,
mbare. Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Ah, jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi topoto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi ma nin domorol din fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Ha wo mo yo diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka ba. Ni lafta nyelen kendo le bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.